True.
And the mountains are right next to you. We were out in the middle of the valley.
Yeah.
So I love being right next to the mountains.
Yeah, nice. And then also we wanted a home that was a rambler, and we happened to find the perfect one here. And
Awesome. So we're getting it is it's Payson City Council meeting for August 21st, 2024, and the time is 5:06. Would like to open this meeting with prayer, and Council Christensen will do that for us.
Our dear and gracious Heavenly Father, we're indeed grateful to gather together as a council and as a city to discuss the needs of Payson. We ask that Thy Spirit may be with us, that we may be guided and make plans for the future and resolutions that are most applicable to us. We pray for Thy Spirit always, in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brad. The pledge will be taken care of by Tracy Zobel. Thank you, Tracy.
Would the audience please rise and repeat the pledge with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tracy. Before I forget, ladies and gentlemen, would like to excuse Brian Hewitt. He's actually on vacation with his family. And Brian Rowley will be here, but he's going to be a little bit late. He had some responsibilities that he had to take care of before he could come. We'll go ahead with the consent agenda. Number one, approval of the August 7th, 2024 special city council minutes. And number two, approval of the August 7th, 2024 regular city council minutes. Unless the council has any discussions on these items, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and it's been seconded. The roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to petitions, public forum is number one. Anyone can speak in this public forum. Please be cognizant of your time. And if you would like to come up, tell us your name and let us know what your thoughts are. Not seeing anyone who would like to take advantage of here in the council chambers. Is there anybody online? Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the public forum. We'll move on to staff reports. Anybody from the staff? Oh, Janine, thank you. We'd love to hear from you.
Mayor and Council, first I want to thank those who are involved with the Seven Supper. Thank you so much. It's always nice to have that event done. It's incredible what we can do in, a few hours. So I always give the joke to Dave, which he hates, so don't listen, but only Payson City and Jesus can beat 5,000 people. It's a bad joke, I know, I'm sorry. So when I
we had to have the makings of 5,000, but the other one didn't have to.
I know that's true. Anyway, it's bad. See, he's not even gonna look at me. All right, so Onion Days, right around the corner. So not this weekend, but next weekend. So I hope you'd all check out the booklet and attend the events. Like, if you can divvy them out, we start on Friday. There's the football game. We have a new hypnotist this year, so that will be fun. And then Saturday, it's a full day of things you can do. Make sure you go to the play. They worked many hours on the play, and that's even going on this week. So if you feel like you're going to be busy, during Onion Days, make sure you hit it. They would love to see you, and I think they take note, making sure, hey, I saw a couple city council members there. So even the different events, the smaller events, if you can go for a while, I'd appreciate that. So, and you're welcome to stop by the information booth. For those who don't know, we give out bags of onions. So we get a pallet from Smith's. They're gracious to donate a pallet of onions to us. So we cut a daily amount, so many per day. So people park far and walk far and get their onions and go home. It's so weird that they come for this little bag of onions that they could have just picked up at the grocery store for a couple of dollars. Anyway, so call me or email me if you're asking about certain events that you'd like to attend, but we'd love to have your presence there and have the community see you there. So,
Janine,
thank you.
I've had a few people ask, and they're actually from outside the city. Is there anybody that's doing onion rings or anything in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the, Hyatt, no, let's see, is that right?
Eaton.
Yes, Heaton, who said that? Yes, Joe, it's the Heaton family, so they've done it the last 3 years, so it's like a
Good.
family event, so,
Then I
and they've got it down.
I can report back
What's
to.
that?
Lumen onions,
Mhm.
that's what they.
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's the onion.
Good. Well, it's staying in the theme of onions.
Yes, for
I've
sure.
been trying to convince my wife she needs to do something in her little,
Yeah, she does
Trailer.
in her sweets.
Yeah.
You do a sweet onion.
well, she's got some sourdough, and I says, well, do some like
Onion
caramelized
stuff.
onion, something or other. She's like, oh, she's been looking for a recipe.
There
to see
you
if she
go. I think that would be fun.
throws
I
some
told
in there.
Wes to plant onions in the flower beds this year and he forgot, so. Just kidding.
It's still
All right.
planting, they just would look funny without any tops on them.
That's fine. All right. Any other questions?
Thanks,
Thank you, Janine. Any other staff? Dave,
Well,
thank
maybe
you.
just an update on the roads. We're pushing that it gets open this weekend, but maybe Monday. But there was a walkthrough yesterday. And there's some things that need to be fixed and stuff, but and Janine was out there just a minute ago with Chief, and we were looking at different signs we can put up. We're really concerned about the 2-block area and how, the narrowness of not allowing people to set up chairs and stuff in the parallel parking stalls. There's no room. Folks go by and kids jumping out. By the park, it's a little wider. But so we're looking to get some signage and hopefully make it safer, at least for those 2 blocks. But
At least just the 2 blocks. I was just talking to Mayor Kurt Christensen in Salem, and they had their parade, and there was a little child that was run over, not because of candy or anything like that. It's she fell off of it. So.
and we're gonna ask the people that are on the floats and stuff to walk along, pass out candy, and don't throw it from the. I think the state's even starting to crack down. We've had some injuries in different communities. I know it's fun to throw wherever you're at, but and especially that 2-block area. You can walk down the sidewalks. They're wider now, and you can pass candy out and stuff like that.
I might make mention too, and David, when I looked at it too, we've been taking a little bit of static because of 3 bridges that were going right straight to light poles. I'd like to report that to everybody here, including council members. That has been taken care of. They are no longer going to those poles.
And it looks good down there, and they got to do some cleanup, but I think overall it's a good project, and it'll be great to get that open and have the parade go down there,
We were already aware of it before it was even brought out that been working on. So it's.
And as far as the council, it might be Ryan's tractor trailer flatbed. The horse and buggy thing that I was looking at, I don't know if they have it anymore. But we'll have a thing for you to ride on. We'll have some candy to throw, as long as you walk.
Which last time Brett did, he walked with good sheriff, right?
Yeah, and I always threw it over their heads. I think people
We
thought I was
threw
a
so
jerk.
far, like we never threw right here, like
Yeah,
it was
it
like,
was
whoa.
But you guys are the example, so please do not throw, because if you guys throw, everyone else will throw. So please walk and take it to the kids, please.
Just don't throw from the.
No, you can't
The
throw
float.
from the float.
You can walk along.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be fun, and we're looking forward to the park looks great, everything, so I don't know if you have any questions on that. And the invitation's open if you want to go down and look at the progress of our new wastewater treatment plant. Call me, they'll take us, and there's a lot of work going on down there, and it's taking shape. Hey, thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Any other staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and move to council reports. Brett?
Yeah, I'm excited for Main Street. I walked down there a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I. It was kind of fun seeing some of the businesses. They were out there trying to find new facades for themselves and looking at it. I think it'll be a great asset. yeah, I'm excited to see it open. I probably need to go back down now that it's actually got asphalt on it. And the bridges and things going in. I don't have a lot going on. It's good to see the community involved with things. I was attacked coming in. They wanted pictures of me for the scavenger hunt, so I had to oblige that today. But it's good to see the community getting involved. Thank you.
You know, I'd like to chime in too on Main Street. I purposely went down to Main Street and walked, hoping to run into people that were walking there, and I've yet to have anybody rail on it. So, but everybody that I've talked to has been very complimentary.
I don't have much. I think Main Street also looks really cute, and thanks to all the staff and all the work you guys do. That's all I have.
Well,
Yeah,
sum it up, I don't have anything to say.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to E, action items. Resolution, amended agreement with JKLMN Investments LC regarding building at the landfill.
So JKLMN is Kenny Singh Construction. We have a contract with them out at the landfill. They come and asked if they could build an additional small office building just to the west of our new scales, which we're okay with. Part of the reason is that they'll pay the cost of building that building, and they'll use that during the term of their contract, but it does belong to Payson City, and it will be our building as soon as it's built, but we will allow them to use it until their lease is done, and then it becomes another building that we can have there out there at the landfill. So we don't see a downside on it. They could use that. They submitted plans. It's going through our, goes through our regular process, the permit, inspection, things like that. So the agreement before you just amends the current agreement we have with JKL and Kenny Singh, and adds that paragraph that you look at. It's in red that when it's built, the offices will be the property of Payson City, and the conclusion of the lease agreement with that stays it's our property. So unless you have any questions, we feel like it's a good thing. They've been a good partner over the years, and
Much longer is our lease with them?
I think it's 10 years. It might be a little less than 10 years with the agreement, but they added some money to the ball fields to add some upgrades. We gave them some credit, and then we also, when they put the scales in, they built, they put the scales in for us. That was our cost, but we gave them some more credit. But I think all the credit's been used up. They've really had a lot of work this year, so they need to start paying royalties again. So
I think that's one of the best deals out there. We pay somebody else to dig us a landfill.
yeah, it helps on that.
Somebody pays us to dig our landfills. How it went.
It really has
How
been good.
far are we gonna go with that? I mean, how far west and south are we gonna just keep going with that?
I think they've done some studies. I don't think there's a certain amount of aggregate they can use, and then it's done. So I don't think they're gonna go, they got some permission through the state to blast some of the deeper stuff with a bigger rock, but I don't know if kids here, but I don't think, I think probably the next 10 years when that, maybe at the end of their gravel pit. It's been there for, even before we acquired the property, they had a lease with Scott McLaughlin. And so it's been out there probably, they've been out there a good 25, 30 years. But yeah, I don't know if there's much more they could do, but everything they extracted out of there, we have permission. We have to just go back to the state, have to line that area with the new standards. But yeah, we have a lot of room to grow.
I think Kent,
It's been a great asset.
I think Kent got, this recently got 100 acres more approved through the state, something like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So unless there's any, I think this would be a great thing for Kenny Sang and for us as well. It's beneficial for both parties. So any further discussion? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amended agreement with JKLMN Investment LC regarding the building at the landfill.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded, roll call vote starting with Council Christensen,
Yes.
Council Moss,
Yes.
Council Pike. Thank you. Okay, as we will begin a work session, discussion regarding the motorcycle track and OHV facility. Robert and Jill? Maybe Jill probably.
Hey, Mayor, did you want to have that work session in here, or did you want, we are
Whatever
prepared
you'd like to
to
do.
set up in the
Yeah,
conference.
we were gonna
room.
recommend doing the session.
PRC room.
Okay.
Okay,
So, yeah, anybody can move right in that.
Okay. Jill's kind of gonna lead this discussion and we'll just jump in as necessary.
Okay, let me get it on the full screen. And then we'll move forward. Okay, anyway, so wanted to give the city council and everyone an update on the West Mountain Track and Trail System. We're actually at a point now with this particular project that we probably need some direction from the city council. One, we've got some new council members that probably don't know much about the project. We have some council members that probably know about the project, but haven't received an update for quite some time. And so there can be several benefits of this conversation, but anyway, wanted to give an update and then get some feedback, mostly from the city council of this project. How do you feel about it? How do you want to move forward? What more, if you need additional information? Anyway, just to have a really good conversation. We felt like this room would actually work well to just have a more of an informal conversation, but in the end, we would really like some direction from the city council of how to proceed with this particular application. So I'll go through the history a little bit. Just there is a lot of history, so I'm gonna breeze over it. If there is something that you have heard or that I've missed here that you need to add in or ask for clarification on, feel free to do that. But this dates back many, many years. And so anyway, so I'll touch on that a little bit, but really the whole purpose of looking at OHV and motocross facilities on West Mountain was, as we started looking at the existing uses on those public lands. First, we wanted to protect the existing uses on the public land. And then secondly, there are a variety of recreational uses that are occurring on the mountain at this time. And where we have city property that's adjacent to this mountain, we see often how dangerous some of those uses, because they're not organized uses. So it's not necessarily that we're concerned with the uses that are occurring, it's how they are being used, where they're being used, and where there is conflict. And so we wanted to make sure that we looked at, could they be organized and could they be conducted in a safe manner. Some of you have probably heard about some of the concerns with shooting out there and with some errant bullets that are going over to maybe Genola. And anyway, there's just some conflict in there, but ultimately, or all along, we wanted the purpose of it to be to protect those existing uses on the mountain, because we see that as a very important recreation amenity for our community. Now, Payson, we've annexed out to the landfill. Much of that area is unincorporated, but we still see a lot of opportunity up there. A lot of our residents are going out there to recreate. And with the landfill being there, of course, you know, we have some interest with that too, but you know, we want to see if there's a way that working with the BLM and other federal agencies that we can still protect those while having them be safe. So the original proposal started in 2006. So there was an effort by city leaders and Utah County leaders and a local business in order to look at OHV and motocross use on West Mountain. So that started conversations with BLM, Utah State Parks and Recreation, Rocky Mountain ATV, Utah County Commission, Payson City Council, to say, is this something that would be beneficial? Is this something that we should pursue? So at that time, the original proposal was to have a track and trail system, as well as to have a designated shooting area. And so that process continued. We submitted an application. We had multiple meetings. We had several years of back and forth with the BLM. on that proposal to see if it's something that, one, they would support, and two, could we meet the requirements in order to continue those uses in certain areas on the mountain. 4 or 5 years went by and it died. There just wasn't a lot of, at that time, it just felt like there was a process that was never ending. And we just got focused on other areas. And so we dropped that particular application. So back in 2020, there was another effort to move this forward. And so at that time, there was 2 applications by 2 different entities. So you have the track and trail system of Payson City, but then we had another third-party nonprofit group that was pursuing a shooting range on the mountain. That is not our application. That is not what we're discussing tonight, but that just shows the difference that originally Payson City was considering track and trail system and a small shooting range that could be used for use by the community. And then there was another application that came in. So we modified our application to exclude anything that included the shooting range. So, yes.
One thing that might be well to mention with regard to the shooting, is this before my time as mayor, and that shooting range was also not continued with because of the mineral problems that, rights that are there as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so, and I'll touch a little bit
Oh,
on the
sorry.
money. No, that's, thank you, Mayor. I'll make sure that I touch on that, but, and then the required approvals, because it is on federal land, and there is some trails that cross, Sitla land. We are required to get approval from both agencies. So one is the Bureau of Land Management, and then the other one is the Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. So SITLA, I don't know if you've heard that term before, but anyway, it's the Utah Trust Lands that would have to give us any approval to utilize their property. So just as far as ownership and use, here's a map for you to see. So most of the ownership of West Mountain is BLM land. Didn't highlight the area that BLM owns. I've got another map that shows that, but the maps or the colors here represented. So what is in red is actually Sitla land. So that's the state trust lands. So that's the schools that have those state trust lands there. So there's some on the southern end of the mountain, there's some on the west side of the mountain, and then there's some on the northwest side of the mountain. What you see in yellow is where mining claims have been, mining permits have been issued. So as you can see, you've got the Kilgore pit that's occurring here, more the northern portion of the mountain. And then you have a few operations down here. So you have, Payson cities. I mean, we just talked about that with the previous item on the agenda. We do have an agreement with Kenny's Construction on a mining operation there. And then there are some other mining applications that have been submitted to the BLM that have either active, they are proposed, or they are being reclaimed. So they have been mined and and there's reclamation work happening on the site. So that goes to the mayor's point a little bit about mining claims, but so we might have to come back to this map. And then there's also a lot of private land. Not necessarily on the mountain per se, but there's a lot of private land that's immediately adjacent to the federal land. And we've heard from a lot of those residents recently about use of the land and, what will happen in the future on West Mountain. But there is a lot of private land. I think, there's could potentially have been some trespassing on those private lands. And so, organizing these uses could also help with any trespass that's happening on those property. I think that was another intention. So some of the uses on the mountain, and this is not an exhaustive list by any means, but you have shooting, you have hunting, you have motorized use, hiking, biking, equestrian, mining, grazing, farming. You have all these different uses. I mean, you have others. I mean, you have the BYU observatory up on the mountain. You have, the orchards that are on the north side. You've got homes on the west side of West Mountain. You have a lot of access to Utah Lake. That's all occurring in this space. So West Mountain is very important. It is very important to a lot of different people for a lot of different purposes. And so just wanted to touch on that a little bit, we have looked bigger picture, with this. Good evening. Okay, Okay, so on the BLM land, so the first one is lease of federal land. So we submitted the last application on September 24th of 2020. We have since submitted various amendments as BLM staff has reviewed our application and they've responded. And so there's been, you know, different documents, maps, different things that have been submitted over time. So on the BLM land, the type of activities that we're looking at is a motocross track and an OHV trail system. So there's two different processes with the BLM that we have to go through. One, for the track, you have to go through the Recreation and Public Purposes Act. So there's certain regulations there. It has to be recreation based, you know, trails is a right-of-way application. Trails can happen anywhere within a right-of-way application. We have just chosen to focus on the trails that are shown here on this map. So the area in the middle of the map here, so this hatched area, there's about 60 acres here, and that's where the motocross track is proposed. And then you have all of these trails that, many of them already existing out there and are being utilized. But those would be part of either the larger OHV system on the entire mountain, or they would be support for the motocross track that's there at the center of the site. But just to orient everyone, because I know maps can sometimes be hard if you don't have, you know, buildings and, you know, focal points on there. But this is the extension of 10400 south, going out to West Mountain, and this property here is Payson City landfill and the mining operation on Payson City land. What you see in yellow here is all BLM land, including this area here where the motocross track would be. And then as you can see, you have those trails across BLM land. And then this blue is the Sitla land. So a lot of those existing trails are going along Sitla, so we've submitted an application with them as well. Just a little bit for project data. The track is 60 acres. So that area in that's hatched here is 60 acres. So that's where your motocross track and the associated amenities to support that track would be located within that 60 acres. And then you have the trails.
So which way is north, south?
Oh, so north is up.
So is that
So
60 acres, isn't it kind of down in a full area to try to minimize the carrying of the sound?
So one of the reasons we did look at this site, well, one is just how much it's being utilized now, you know, with different OHV trails that are there. But that was another reason why it's tucked away. It's back behind the landfill. Yes, you know, you have the, the road that comes up here. And then, you know, just basically turns into a dirt road, you know, or what it once used to be.
Would look at paving then?
So that would be part of the application of whether or not it would need to be paved. A lot of that would be BLM determining if it would need to be paved or if it could be gravel. We may, for public safety purposes, want it to be paved.
Okay.
You know, that may just be a requirement of public safety, you know, in order to have good access out there and some turnaround. So that would all be something that we looked at with this application.
We did at one time, I can't remember which year it would be, but we did have a sound study done up there. I think BYU came out and did a sound study. I mean, BLM would probably make us do another because it's been a long time ago, but yeah.
Okay.
But it showed that it was good. It kind of helped the sound being down in that hole.
Is there any structures out, are they building structures out there?
There's nothing out there now, I don't think.
I mean, would there be? You'd have to have bathroom facilities of some sort.
Yeah,
No.
they would, the track is the
Parking
most
lot.
important thing, but then they would have some,
Outbuildings.
yeah, they might have some
Interest
interest.
spots or something.
So, yeah, you would, I think we have it sketched in on one of those plans, Joe, I don't know, but there would be, so for the motocross track, you wouldn't need any, other than like a ticket booth and then, you know, even vendor parking, they would set up their own canopies and stuff. You would really just want to have like a snack bar area and a medical area and then like an admissions.
Probably some
booth.
stands for people to watch.
Yeah, and then stands, and then whenever an event is hosted, usually the event will bring in a company to come in and grade and prep the track and everything. And then and so they would pay that, they would host the event, and then we would hopefully collect the percentage of whatever they make from using the area. And then we would just leave it be, let, free access until the next event. I met out there with guys from Lucky Mountain ATV and a guy that owns two different motocross tracks, one in Mesquite and one in Idaho. And he said that area, because it is right up against the hill, has national level potential just because of the natural terrain. He said there's no tracks like it in the US right now, where you have that hillside that could be utilized as part of the course. And so he said it has huge potential.
So their races potentially would leave the 60-acre partial for cross-country kind of motocross?
No,
It would stay in that same 60
yeah,
acres?
you'd have the track laid out and for the most part,
I
it
know
would,
they do races out over the
Yeah.
deserts and stuff. That's
No,
why I
it-
didn't know if the tracks that are there would facilitate that.
no, it wouldn't be an enduro race. It would just be the typical motocross events. I know they have one in Juab County. They usually do a big one. But again, that's a flat area that they bring in a lot of dirt to shape and everything, where this would be mostly just, they wet it, bring in a layer of fresh soil, and then they would just kind of shape it. And then they leave, right? And then, so then all the people that use West Mountain would then have that ability to go ride on these national courses, and tracks, setups and everything until the next event.
We have a unique situation, you already mentioned Rocky Mountain ATV they do sponsor not only national, but international, motocross events. So that would help, as we organize it.
So there's a lot of different opportunities. I know that having a free place for people to go and ride, I mean, we all know how popular OHVs have become. Everyone's got their side by side or their four wheeler, or they have their motorcycle and looking at other areas in our community, there just hasn't been another location or another opportunity to accommodate that recreation user group anywhere else. Very limited in Payson Canyon because of Forest Service. They have the single track and you have the motorcycles, but you can't have the only OHV trail in Payson Canyon is Motorpole Trail. And so it's not very convenient. I mean, you're going clear up, to the top of Payson Canyon in order to go for an OHV ride. A lot of people have them street legal, and so they're riding, in town, and so they're still enjoying their vehicles. But, if they can have a place close to home that they can still, get out and enjoy an afternoon and go up Long Canyon or ride up to the observatory or whatever else it may be on Payson Canyon was, something that was very appealing to the city and the county at the time, is to make sure that, we're protecting those areas. There's a lot of growth and there's a lot of change that's occurring, and sometimes with that growth, some of those amenities go away. And if there's a way that it can be designed that you can have residential growth, but you can still have some close recreation areas, and that they can, if they can coexist, I guess, in the same area, that's what the intention is. And that's what BLM is looking at too. That is part of their process, is looking through it from every angle. And we'll talk a little bit about the process, but they want to make sure that all uses on this mountain are considered, and they find a way to support the uses that are occurring there at this time.
And one of the things that we considered, when we've got Fort Bay, one of the things we considered when we restricted motorized vehicles, to preserve that area for biking, and was the fact that we have other areas that close by that people could benefit from the free access.
Right. Just wanted to touch on two things and go back to the mayor's comment about the mining claims, but as I mentioned, the track's 60 acres, the trail's 19.5 miles. So the application that we have only includes these trails that are shown on this map. I think I mentioned that before. There have been a lot of, recreation users that have come to us and said, let's dream big and let's ask the BLM if we can officially designate, all of the existing trails on West Mountain. The challenge with that is then all of those trails become our responsibility. And so we felt like that was a little bit more for us to choose, that we can handle at this time. It's like, okay, let's start with this area, let's start with these trails, let's find different partnerships or volunteer groups that can help us to maintain these trails here. Then if we need to look at other, trail corridors that are really important, I mean, it's still gonna be open land. It's still gonna be utilized, but anything that's part of this application becomes our responsibility. So we're proposing to start small and move from there.
Well, there's all kinds of trails up there.
And there is,
And everybody uses them, so
yes,
I don't think we have to like step in
Yeah.
and take care of them.
right. And yes,
So the shooting range, I've noticed it kind of fizzled out on your application. So the small one that we were looking at doing in conjunction with the county is no longer on the table, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
it is not currently part of our application.
So my fear is the shooting still gonna be allowed out there? Because I don't know the combination of the two, it seems like a good idea.
We've had conversations with BLM and other things, there's a process to go through to try to restrict that. One of the reasons to restrict that, the open and supervised shooting is because it does cause fires on that mountain. And there is a possibility that type of restriction can be used to help us be a safer place, which that's the area that we're really having some concerns where people are shooting towards Genola and going over that hill into Genola and hitting homes, which would be another justification for controlling it.
Well, and going along those lines, that may be a requirement of BLM with this application. They may say, okay, you're taking an area that everyone is using for shooting now. Where else are you going to support it? Or they may require that be part of our application. It's not currently. But that could very well be a response back from them of saying, okay, if you have this designated use on this 60 acres and these trails, then we're not gonna want the shooting there. But we don't want to just say, we're not going to support the shooting. We may have to do that shooting range that we had originally proposed.
And I've been part of meetings
In the
where mayors and other entities have taken a look at that, and we feel quite confident we can find other places for people to be able to take care of those needs as well.
So it is lease only, and I'll go back to, hopefully it'll let me
What's
go
the timeline on that lease?
back. Well, we don't have the lease yet. They will lease for 20 years and then you can, request an extension of that. Okay, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, sorry. So going back to this map. So when we first started talking to them about this motocross track, because there are mining claims. So as you can see, these little blue lines that are here, this is that 60 acres.
Where the little blue lines are.
Yep, so the little blue lines that are here, that would be the motocross track. So as you can see, there's a lot of area that's anticipated to be mined. Those are already permits or conversations that those mining claim companies or those mining companies have been talking with BLM. So we can't acquire that property. That property cannot be conveyed to Payson City. It can only be leased. And so I know there's been some questions before about, hey, are we sure we want to put this much investment in if we know that we're only going to get 20 years, or maybe we don't even get 20 years, or where's the cost benefit there, or are we going to get our money out of it? Different things like that. So, but it is just a lease only. And then we have to go through the NEPA process because it is federal land.
I just think we keep it gravel. I don't think we blacktop it.
Yeah.
Because when you go to all these other national. I've been with him. It's all gravel. It's not blacktop. You just don't, it's a mountain. Nobody lives there. people are used to being on the gravel when they go to play on their motorcycles or their ATVs. So. And I
So it
still,
wouldn't be uncommon.
no,
Just
it's not
in the
uncommon
level.
at all.
Yeah.
I think the only place that we're talking about asphalt is just the access to it. the cars that put-
These are more environment.
So this is more, this is, you know, what Jonathan was referring to. This is, Jonathan actually prepared several different views of this proposal. He also has one of just the motocross track area to show some of the associated facilities as was just discussed. But anyway, so in this case, north is to your left. But anyway, so you've got 10,400 that comes up here. And then you've got the gravel and mining operation here and the landfill. And then you come up to the end of there. And then you would extend further to the south in order for, so as you can see, again, proximity to any residential in the area. That was
Quite a ways
definitely,
away.
you know, something that we wanted to make sure, you know, for dust and noise and different things like that,
So-
that it is removed.
So you would have,
That's where we would just have to refresh the.
yeah, so kind of
existing marks.
you basically would have to take a dozer and you would cut down, you would start high and cut. And then push it out and make a couple tiers of just flat space, so people can pull in their trailers and everything. And
But isn't that what he wanted to do? Did he want to design it?
Yeah,
Who?
here north.
What's his name? Dan.
Oh, they would be involved with it if we get to that.
So they actually didn't really want to take on a hands-on role with it.
But did they want to design it?
No,
Really?
because they're not track designers either.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what I was saying was, our investment really would be
From the track.
a large mass grading operation, right? We would level out a couple places, a couple of plateaus for parking, and then do a rough prep of that area, clearing and grubbing, and even if it's you know, metal stands or I don't know what they would like to see there, but and then just having the place there and facilities nearby. I mean, they'll bring in porta potties when there's events.
Yeah.
They're, you know, mobile hand wash stations, so you don't have to have water there. If we wanted to do, I mean, and even then you'd have a tank with secondary water that people hose off their bikes if they wanted to.
Well, no, you'd go around because between motos, you know, when they start the second set, they go through and they spray it all with water
Yeah,
because it gets too dusty.
right.
But the people, like they sit up in the trees, they sit all over the ground. There's no bleachers set up
Right.
any place at these places. So it's,
Yeah, unless it's an arena.
yeah,
track,
and it's
right?
not that, so they would just go put their chairs and their little tents up and like you said, the little porta potties, there's,
Yeah, our, like I said, the biggest investment we would have would just be a large mass grade, or, you know, mass grading operation and, you know, maybe that's something else we could negotiate with Kenny saying, you know, for credit on this,
you know,
the mine is, because he's got all his equipment's already there.
exactly.
Just come up above, push some dirt around and,
But look
walk
what
away.
Spanish Fork did. They went in and they just had volunteers that came in and did all those ballparks, all that kind of stuff. I know we could ask for volunteerism. I don't know why we have to keep paying people to do it when it's a win-win for everybody, like people that come in and are taking stuff out of our mountain.
right,
Why couldn't they just help us? Yeah, they don't have to, you know, we pay for the diesel, we pay for the driver, but we don't pay $1,000 an hour to run that big cat.
right,
So I think we need to look more of donation type too, because that's how Spanish Fork was able to get so much done. It was donation. People just donated. I think we need to look at that. I mean, like I said, there's several up there on the mountain. My brother's one of them. But why couldn't they bring their great big cats and loaders and stuff like that? And, you know, you have 3 or 4 cats up there, that's gonna get done pretty fast.
That's one of the things that we need to continue this process to.
And that's really kind of the heart of this
Yes.
discussion.
you don't
Is
have to
to
have
say-
engineered soil.
we've gone a long ways,
Right.
like,
From when we
like,
started.
Jill just gave you 20 years of history almost. But now we're at a place of, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
We need to do some additional steps,
Yeah, we would. have to
but we just
bring
wanted
in-
to kind of get the council's take on, are we pursuing?
But
Are we
then,
continuing on
Right.
in this?
when it
I think it's well worth the continued process and find out
Because
exactly
over time
where,
of riding, right?
we're not obligated to a whole bunch, we just want to continue to explore the process.
So here, I mean, and the federal process is cumbersome and there's a lot of things that need to be done, but generally, here's the step. So you have to go through the NEPA process. So that's where it's gonna establish the environmental policies and goals for the area. And so there's a lot of things we need to look at. We have to look at dust, we have to look at noise, we have to look at wildlife. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to look at. So there's a lot of steps that need to happen here. So there's several things that have been completed. So I didn't want to just say, oh, here's this big long lengthy process. We've actually made a lot of progress. And so we've got the application of plan of development for the track area. We've done the application for the right of way for the trails. Revisions are required, but we've started that process. So and these here are just listed here as well, just to show that we've made some progress and we've had some check marks, which is further than we've ever been before. So it's actually really exciting to say that, okay, we've got the RP application and plan of development done. We did the environmental assessment phase 1 and the lead screening. We've done that. Because of the lead screening, they required us to do the the EA phase 2. Which was a limited site investigation. So instead of looking at the entire site, they just looked at the areas where most of the lead was located to get some additional information. We are finishing up the cultural survey at this time. We've actually had a company come out and do the cultural surveys. The document has been prepared. A draft has been submitted to the BLM and also SITLA. To talk about any sensitive lands that might be in that area, if there's any areas that we need to avoid, or any areas that need to be protected. Some of you may know that there are some areas on West Mountain that have rock art, not in this particular area, but there is rock art out on West Mountain, and I know that is something that we want to see preserved and maintained and not destroyed. But not in this particular area, but they do require those cultural surveys, which we have done. So moving forward, there's still, we need to address the revisions for the right-of-way application. That's where we're gonna identify costs, we're gonna identify design. We're gonna look at construction details and know that Jonathan was very helpful with providing a general overview of that. And then, as you know, Councilwoman Hyatt had mentioned, I think there's a lot of opportunity for some partnerships and some volunteers, but ultimately with the federal application, it's on us. Where we are the applicant, we are the agency is saying we are responsible. Now, if we find other participants to help us with that, then that's great, but we are on the hook on it. We are on the hook. So we've got to look at noise, dust, mitigation plans, the wildlife survey, equipment inventory, and then ultimately, because of some of the materials that they found during the environmental assessment, we have to do a phase 3. So there will be mitigation or remediation on the site.
Well, so can I take that on the dust? So if you were to have a big motocross, yeah, that's why you go and spray. You may have to do it 4 or 5 times for like 3 or 4 days.
Right.
But the rest of the time, you're not gonna have enough riders out there to make the dust. You're just not.
Well, and they've already done that study too, and I will have to be revisited and make sure that it's still.
But even the noise, I mean, they go up there on that little one back behind the houses that's up there. I don't hear them. I mean, unless I'm outside and then I go, oh, I know what that is. You know, you can tell which kind of motorcycle it is, but you don't really hear them. And they're up there right behind those houses and they haven't really complained about those. But they didn't want the shooting range there, which I can understand. I didn't want it on Elm Mountain either.
The kicker is it's already ongoing too.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just part of this process, that's why it's part of the NEPA process, is to actually document what is required for a fugitive dust plan. And if we're only using it for X amount of activities, then we only need this amount of mitigation, same thing for noise, all of those different types of things. It's just analyzing what impacts there are and what mitigation measures need to be put into place.
And that's why.
And those are the things that we just need to continue on.
We
and
need to
figure out.
continue on and find out what those things are. I think that's like you said, that's the main reason for this work session is, do we want to go forward? And I think it'd be wonderful to go forward and get those answers.
And that is a great segue to my last slide. Is just, I think there's a few things that we need to look at. One is the local support. Do we have the city council support? Do we have the city support in order to continue this application? And then also the community support. Having the conversation, we've been talking about this for quite a while, but there's been some things that have come up recently that we've received a lot of public input. And do we need to be out seeking that or having conversations to make sure that as we are moving our plans forward and as we are looking at construction and use, that they're part of that conversation. So local support and then partnerships, like I said, when we first started with this, Utah County, State Parks and Recreation, Rocky Mountain, there were a lot of different groups that were willing to come out and help with, you know, what they had available, the resources that they had available. And I still think, and these are only some, I know that there's more out there that we can reach out to, but I think there's a lot of opportunities, like Teresa had mentioned, for partnerships in order to make this happen. And then just the consulting services, a lot of these steps with the NEPA process are going to require some experts that have experience with the federal process and some of these studies. And
I wonder if you reached out. And this is where why can't I ever remember his name? Dan.
Yeah.
I know Dan real well.
Yeah.
If he could get in touch, you know, because they have them all over the nation, if he could get in touch with those different people, because a lot of them are in the mountains, and see what they've done. And even maybe have them help design this track, because I mean, the people that do that love what they're doing, and that's why they do it.
And that goes back to what Jonathan had said, because Jonathan actually met with, so Dan had got him, Jonathan and this other guy connected about how could it be designed? You know, do we need to adjust it? You know, how we can use those organized events to benefit year-round use or, you know, for that open, free use of the community. And so, yeah, I do. Dan's a great partner to have with that.
Well, he's got to know all of them.
Yep.
Because he
Yeah.
does sponsor these.
Like I've said, I think we're at the point that we really need to continue to explore and see and get the answers that we need. And show that, I know that there've been many over this almost 6 years, 6 years I've been mayor, that have come up to me and are really excited, a lot of support. And we need to hear that. We need to hear the other concerns as well.
As Jill notes on this slide and on the one previous, there are some professional studies that we need to engage in. So there's going to be a little bit of money involved in this, a little or a lot, I'm not sure. But it always adds up. And so those are things that we also, you know, come to you you have the power of the purse. And so if you want us to spend money on this, then we'll spend money on this.
And the benefit is that, as Jill mentioned, people can use this for free.
Yeah.
And it's a place for people to be able to use their motorcycles and side by sides, and we've restricted necessarily up there the four-way. This would be a place that's very close that they use for free.
Well, and yes, people are already riding out there, but they're riding on, a lot of it is just erosion channels, right? That have made their way into, you know, and then people started riding them and now they're trails. This would give something a little bit more controlled, a little bit more safe for new riders, for people that want to practice certain skills, you know, especially after an event is done and that good soil is still there for, you know, a month or so before it gets really kind of ground in. You know, it's a benefit to everyone. And like I said, once the area is in and all the paperwork's done, all we have to do is get someone to help us market the site to race to race sponsors and then they bring in their teams for every event and take care of everything, and then we charge them, right? So it's,
Well, and they get to charge everybody coming.
right,
I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands
Oh,
of
yeah.
people.
And the retail, spin-off from that, the services that people can
Yeah.
have and benefit is the general public as well.
I mean, and that's where you're gonna get the benefit from the Fairfield Inn, you know,
Yeah.
from the additional restaurants, and that's being
The
so
gas
close to that area is how we help grow that commercial base, you know,
Gas and Payson.
right? So,
I think the other thing is with this particular site is that topography is on your side
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
mitigation measures,
Okay.
topography, like natural topography is going to be a serious benefit in mitigating a lot of those things like noise and dust and all of that.
Jill, and like Jonathan has said, and it's been repeated too, that Dan Shop can be a very good resource. Dan Thomas can be a very good resource.
yeah,
Jill, on the NEPA process, the public hearings and stuff, did she get back with you?
Yes, she did. So I had a conversation with, I know that, with the shooting range and there was a, open house that was very well attended. A lot of people interested in seeing where that shooting range was going. I did reach out to BLM to see if we would have to have, a similar open house for this particular project. And she said that, most likely, she says, the field manager has, the field office, I think manager, anyway, he has the authority to require it, even if it's not by the black and white of the code. If they feel like there could be some impacts, that should be discussed at the public level, that they would require an open house. I took it as, yes, they would require that we would have, which, you know, that could be a check mark for a requirement, but I think we've started a dialogue with a lot of those residents out there. I think we continue the discussion right now, and then maybe there'll be some, you know, then hopefully we'll have some support when it gets to that required public open house with the BLM.
Yeah, because they just want to know what's going on, right?
And that's what I wanted to bring up to the council, but it may not, you've seen how long it's taken. But, and it may not even be you on the council at the time, but there's a lot of stuff that has to be done behind the scenes and beforehand, and there's money that has to be spent. And that was similar to the thing with the shooting range, before you get to the public, and like Teresa said just a minute ago, there's thousands of people that will come to this. There's gonna be people come out and say, we don't want this. And so that's why we wanted to bring it to you, because if we're gonna get to the same point and spend more money to get to the point where it gets to the public process, and everybody comes out of the woodwork and say, we don't want this, we don't want to go down
Well,
the
they don't
road.
want anything.
We don't want it, I
out
know,
there. I'm sorry.
but we got to the point where
I mean,
that shut down the shooting range, and if there's a possibility that's gonna happen, and we just want to know your honest feeling, because it does cost money to do these consultants, and I don't know if we want to go down this road if when the public process hits, where we have the public hearing and the amount of people that will come out and do those races, if that kind of pressure comes on, and then we say, oh, well, let's don't do it. We'd rather not do it now.
More of them here today.
Well, I think had they not taken that, wanted that whole mountain, the people would have been okay with it,
And
but
maybe we just need to. bring
they
in
didn't want
some
to have whole mountain
Just that little neighborhood, we need to have them.
and put it way up high.
I think it'd be well worth the time and money there into it.
Yeah, I think it would
So
be.
we have.
No, I just wanted to be transparent, that that's one of the reasons we wanted to have this discussion, because,
We could even have something similar to this with that community.
sure,
That neighborhood.
yeah, we can have
And we
our
probably should.
own public hearing.
Right. We need to get the answer to plus both sides of the issue.
I don't know. I think we could do it. There's two sides to it. Do we want to do it now while there's still feeling like there's a burr under their saddle from the last one, or do we want to wait a little while, or? But I kind of think, like Travis is saying over here in my ear, let's not throw money at it until we've had their input. So it's not gonna, if it's gonna get killed, let's kill it before we spend it.
Yeah, but there's not that many houses that it's gonna, it's Utah
Yeah, but they
Avenue.
talked about just the traffic on that road. And that always seems to be a big concern.
That's only gonna be literally like one time a year if you have a
That's-
race, one time a year.
But I think
Not like the shooting, which was every day and they were gonna have a shooting thing once a month. it would be big, it's a big difference.
Yeah, but I think that's what Dave's saying. Are you gonna have them come back and yell at you and then say, never mind, but we just spent.
Well, the hell of it is, we won't know that until we try it.
Yeah.
That's right, and I'm kind of saying, let's
We-
ask them before it's too late.
Yeah, we've already
They're
spent all this time
Yes.
doing it.
We could do
We just
an
need to
open
let 'em
house
know.
style.
But we need,
Because then, even if this takes us another
but
10
the
years
only
to
thing
complete
with
it,
that-
we've done this 10 years in advance, so it's.
it's, the only thing about having a public meeting right now is we need the answers to be able. to
Yeah, we
get
don't
there.
have them.
We need the answers.
Right.
We need the answers. And then we can have.
So-
have to get to a certain point.
So it's a chicken and the egg kind
Yeah.
of situation, right?
Yeah.
There might be some information, I mean, if we were, the next step would be revising the right of way, so you have to have a right of way application and plan of development. And we feel like we need a consultant to help us prepare that, and there will be a lot of detail that comes out of that analysis that could also help with answers to the residents. So it's like, looking at that whole timeline in the process, I don't think we necessarily wait as long as would be required with the BLM process, but maybe there's a little bit more information we need to actually give them.
I don't mind putting $10,000-$20,000 into the process. It's hitting that 6 figures, $250,000 that we could hit. I want their input before then, but if we need to sink some money into it, do some studies, make sure that we know what it's gonna cost us, the impact it's gonna have on them,
Get some of the answers.
and get some of the answers, I'm game for that, but.
Okay.
No, that's good. That's good.
I think
We really
Feedback.
appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, we just wanted to bring it here
think
first.
that was for a good conversation. Is there anything we need to do tonight?
Well, just so you're aware, I mean, what you were just talking about, 20-30,000. So Consor, they have a team that can get us through the NEPA process, and Lars Anderson just told me that it's typically around 5,000 to 6,000 for most projects.
Well,
So it's definitely not super expensive to take that next step. And then be able to have
The answer.
the answers to tell the public.
well, I think. we
You
should
have
do
my
that.
support to go past that
Yeah,
next step. I think we need the answers, but I would like them
Yeah.
to feel like they're part of it.
What do you think?
No, I think that's a really good idea.
Okay.
Straw
And
poll,
why
there
would we go with the people that know how to do it? That's what I always say, use somebody that knows what they're doing.
Dave,
You're doing it.
Dave, Jim, and Robert, it sounds like the council is good to go to the next step.
Okay, perfect, thank you, and
That's
provide
what-
more updates. I mean, it's,
That was kind of just.
it's slow in between, but we'll do better at giving.
Thanks, you guys.
Great.
Makes it accessible.
Well,
Okay. Didn't bring my glasses. That'll work just fine. Okay.
So are we adjourning this work session then?
No, we just will transition from the work session, which doesn't require an adjournment, but we just.
We can do a closed session here. That's the last thing on the agenda.
Okay, all I've got here is adjourn from a closed session, which we haven't done yet.
Well, we're right.
No, you're up, yeah. So we need to adjourn to a closed session.
Okay, okay.
have to include.
According to its closed session, okay. Council, is there a motion to adjourn to a closed session?
It needs to have the detail in it.
Oh,
For
okay,
those
adjourn the
purposes.
closed session meeting to go with closed session August 21, 2024 at state the time is about 7:05 to discuss
Purchase of land.
purchase of land. That's what I thought.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Second, okay, roll call vote starting with Council Christensen.
We're gonna stay in here, but.
Council Christensen.
But yes,
Yeah.
What do we do? Council Moss. Okay, motion carried.
we have to leave it.
One more.
Get back on there.
Oh, give her a half second here.
Oh,
Good.
we
I
good?
move that we adjourn.
I'll second that too.
I'll third it. And all in favor, say aye.
I.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Thank
from
you
the
for your